annual Rebel Grad Slam 3-minute thesis competition. My name is Dr. Emily Lin. I'm the Associate Dean of the Graduate College, and I will be your session host for tonight. The 3-minute thesis, or 3MT competition model, was developed at the University of Queensland in Australia in 2008, and by 2011, the 3MT competition phenomena had spread around the globe, and now more than 900 universities from more than 85 countries hold these competitions. In 2014, UNLV held our first 3MT, the Rebel Grad Slam, and this year is our 12th annual Research Rumble. The 3MT is a fantastic opportunity for students to learn how to convey who they are and what they study to an audience of folks who are mostly outside of their field. It is an opportunity to build public speaking and communication skills, and it's also worth noting that our slammers come from all over campus and from a wide variety of disciplines. This week, we have over 100 UNLV graduate and professional students assigned to compete in the preliminary rounds, and each presenter will present their research in 3 minutes or less and use only one slide and no props at all. We will introduce each of the students and then start the timer. And if a student goes over 3 minutes, they will be eliminated from the competition, unfortunately. Now, let's turn our attention to the scoring for this Research Rumble. The judges will be assessing the competitors based on the metrics, which total 24 possible points in 4 major categories. And they include comprehension, content, engagement, and communication. Each judge will independently score each competitor, and judges will not penalize competitors for unanticipated disruptions that are beyond the slammer's control. And at the end of the presentations, we will tally the judges' combined scores for each grad slammer and announce the winners right here live tonight. The top 3 in each session will advance to the semifinals. So without further ado, let me introduce the judges, and then we'll get on with our 3MT Research Rumble. We have a set of very distinguished judges in tonight's session. Judges, please feel free to turn on your camera and briefly wave to our audience as I introduce you. So first we have Margot Tello, who is our UNLV grad alumni ambassador and program manager from the Community Land Trust. And next judge, we have Margarita Jara, who is a professor in world languages and culture in the College of Liberal Arts. Next, we have David South, who is assistant professor in theater in the College of Fine Arts. As well, we have David Jeffrey, who is an associate professor in residence in our College of Sciences Physics Department. And lastly, we have Mei Yang, who is a professor in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. She's also the department chair in our College of Engineering. So welcome and thank you for serving on our panel of distinguished judges today. We really appreciate you and that you are lending your time and expertise with us. So we're ready now to begin the competition. And our first slammer is going to be Josie Lindell, who is in the Doctor of Philosophy Neuroscience PhD program. And Josie will be presenting observations of the repurposed agent drug landscape, generic versus patent 2016 to 2025. And you may start when you are ready, Josie.
Hey, Malcolm Moore, can we go thrift shopping? Did you know you could go thrift shopping for drugs? Yes, that's right. We refer to these drugs as repurposed agents. Repurposed agents are drugs that are already approved for use by the FDA to treat another disease. So why are repurposed agents so important? Well, because today Alzheimer's disease is the leading cause of dementia, affecting 7.2 million people in the United States alone and 55 million people worldwide. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive brain disorder that results in cognitive decline. Did you know that 99% of all new disease-targeting therapies for Alzheimer's disease have failed in the last 100 years? The first new disease-targeting therapy for Alzheimer's disease was approved just a few years ago. Repurposed agents offer a faster approach to combating Alzheimer's disease because novel compounds take 12 to 15 years to be approved, and they often fail. This is time we don't have. As the population continues to grow, so do the number of cases of Alzheimer's disease. It is estimated in the next few years, the nation will spend over $1 trillion in Alzheimer's research. That's right, over $1 trillion. Novel compounds have to go through preclinical testing, while repurposed agents can go directly into clinical trials and only take 6 to 12 months for approval. My research in the Department of Brain Health, we analyzed important repurposed agent trials to determine what makes a successful phase 3 trial. Phase 3 trials are when drugs are tested on the global scale. We classified drugs as patent or generic. Think of patent agents as finding a Gucci t-shirt in the thrift store, and generic as a UNR t-shirt. This work lays the foundation for what makes a successful repurposed agent clinical trial. An example of a currently important patent repurposed agent trial is semaglutide. Many of you know and refer to semaglutide as Ozempic, which is known for weight loss and the treatment of diabetes. Ozempic is now in an active clinical trial for Alzheimer's disease. This trial is investigating how Ozempic can target neurotransmitters and reduce neural inflammation in the brain. In a few short weeks, we will know if Ozempic is approved for use for Alzheimer's disease. Repurposed agents save valuable time and money and show promise in helping us understand the underlying mechanisms of Alzheimer's disease faster than novel compounds. So before you walk into Gucci first, try your local thrift store. You never know what you might find. You might just have a new drug treatment approach for Alzheimer's disease.
Thank you so much, Josie. And at this time, we'll give the judges about a minute to enter their scores. Okay, we are going to proceed with our next slammer, who is Malika Asari Najad. And Malika is from the Masters of Architecture program. And Malika will be presenting When Buildings Meet Self-Driving Cars. So whenever you're ready to start, please begin.
Hello, everyone. I want to start with a simple question. What do we design our cities for? Cars or vehicles? in the US, we have built so much for cars that in many downtown areas, there is more land dedicated to parking than housing, plazas, or public life. In fact, in cities like Las Vegas, there is more land in central area is for off-street parking. And imagine what else that could be. Housing, plazas, parks, ground floor, playground. But the question is that, how did we get there? Let's rewind it to 1930s and 1940s, when the automobile became the symbol of speed, comfort, modern life. Architecture changed and adopted instantly. Drive-through restaurants, theaters, banks, and all the parking spaces spread like giant asphalt oceans. And we didn't just introduce cars in our cities, we redesigned the whole cities around them. Moving forward to today, now we have more spaces for cars than for people. And many of these cars sit unused for 95% of the time. And vehicles were meant to make our lives easier, but now they occupy the very space that life should happen. And now something new is coming, autonomous vehicles. And wherever transportation change, architecture follows. We saw that with railroad, with automobile, and now we are at another turning point. And the question is that, what will happen when buildings meet self-driving cars? First of all, the neighborhood life returns, the building layout change, and then we need less parking. So here's the beautiful part. It's not about people, it's not about cars being autonomous. It's about people becoming autonomous. They are free to walk, gather, and breathe in cities once used to be dominated by vehicles. And now when cars and buildings, when autonomous vehicles and buildings meet each other, the question is that how we design for life.
Thank you so much, Malika. And at this time, I will ask the judges to enter their scores. Thank you. And judges, Ivan, who was scheduled for today's event, is unable to make it. So I'm going to ask judges if you can all enter ones, the score of 1, and advance to the next person in the rubric. We really appreciate it. Okay, give you a moment to advance to do that. Okay. And we'll move on to our next slammer, who is Rebecca Liang. And Rebecca is in the Master of Science in Geoscience program, And today, Rebecca will be presenting on fidelity of the fossil record. And so whenever you see your slide, Rebecca, you may begin.
Hello, my name is Rebecca, and I am a paleontologist. But I'm not just any paleontologist, I am what's called a conservation paleobiologist. So imagine for a second, what your hometown looked like. Do you remember what restaurants were on the corner? Do you remember in elementary school who your teachers and your classmates were? It's almost impossible to recreate this environment, even within a human lifetime. And that's the same problem we as conservationists have. There's no such thing as a pristine environment anymore. Everything has been affected by humans in one way or the other, from the climate to the deepest parts of the ocean to the most secluded mountaintop. Trying to understand what the most crucial part of an environment is becoming harder and harder as we progress farther and farther along in the climate crisis. This is where we actually turn to the fossil record. The fossil record and skeletal remains layered in sediment called dead assemblages or death assemblages are able to be used to recreate pre-anthropogenic environments, even though this is a new study in paleontology. I'm actually working directly with the professor who first postulated some of these methods. Going to marine environments, because that's where most of the fossil record is from, and collecting skeletal remains, figuring out what their living ecosystems looks like, and finding what fossil record has been found in those areas gives us the template to actually create a group of food webs to look at all of uh, the different ways that we can see how animals interacted. Using this data, we can see over geologic time whether or not we can use fossils to actually figure out what our pristine environment should look like, telling us then what are we supposed to be looking at? What should we be conserving most? Is it our primary consumers that we should be looking at? Or is it our photosynthetic animals? Is it our tertiary predators? What is most necessary to be conserving for a better future? Not only will this help conservationists, hopefully it will set off a chain reaction to study the fidelity of the fossil record among other ecosystems throughout deep time, all the way back hundreds of millions of years, and how we can apply it to modern day conservation. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Yes.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And at this time, I invite the judges to do the ratings. All right, now we're moving on to our next slammer, who is Erica Charles Garcia. And Erica is in the Master of Business Administration program, and Erica will be presenting on Let's Talk About Dementia. So whenever you're ready, Erica. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's talk about dementia. Alzheimer's in disease is one of the most common causes of dementia. Dementia is a syndrome of progressive cognitive decline affecting language, memory, executive function, and activity of daily living, ADS. With the Asian population, it is estimated that dementia will triple by 2050. about 55 to over 165 million people over the world with suffering dementia. Also, it's estimated that by 2030, it's going to be increased on 20% or 73 million people around the average of 65, sorry, is going to be suffering dementia. The new sixth cause of lady, the sixth cause of death on these days. This has a profound effects on psychological, social, and financial costs. The cost per case is approximately 390,000 per case. So while the brain research is a hope for the future, there's also challenges that we have to prevent about the healthcare policies and also about preventing the mild cognitive impairments, MAIs, and the mild AD from the progressive to moderate to severe behavioral problems and getting into institutionalization. This one, this really affects the family and the nurses with that they're taken care of and getting burdened and burned out. Artificial intelligence (AI) having quickly increasing in all these days, and the health sector is not an exception. So while it's already some apps that helps patients with dementia in outpatients, there's not an app that can help patients in patients. So our goal is to develop such an app that is going to be helping outpatients and also to take care about the burden and burnout of the nurses and also for the families. So this app will be using prompts to engage in conversation to help to enhance memory from the patients. Also, it's gonna be enhance memory and prioritize tasks like to skip meals, to do schedules, and to help them patient to have better sleep. So therefore, our app will be help the patients to have a better dementia care with fewer costs. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Erica. And it's time now for the judges to enter their scores. All right, now we're ready to move on to our next slammer, who is Renee Olney. And Renee is in the Doctor of Philosophy Radiochemistry program and will be talking about turning scary waste into smart chemistry. So whenever you're ready, Renee, please proceed.
Okay. In everyday America, life hums along, but out of sight, a monster is looming. It is bound and under careful watch, but it continues to grow. That monster is called UF6. But for this story, we'll call her Scary Boo. Now, Scary Boo can be a bit dramatic. She can become ghost-like, a vapor, drifting in the air. She can eat through stainless steel like it's Halloween candy, which is why she's kept in Teflon containers that are bolted closed. And when she mixes with water, she produces a poison that makes everyone want to run for their lives. Oh yeah, and she's radioactive. The way we currently deal with Scary Boo is actually to force her into the water. Then she has to be treated again because now it's a new monster, but in the water. Thanks to scientists at UNLV, we now know that Scary Boo really enjoys salt baths. Here she becomes calm and she stops causing harm to those around her. But everyone knows bath time can't last forever. We can remove Boo from her salt bath as a renewed form, or a Happy Boo, or UF4. Now she's no longer the villain in the story. Yeah, she's still radioactive, but what kid doesn't seem a little radioactive from time to time? Now she can be used as a nuclear fuel or as a precursor for nuclear medicine. My job is to figure out how to maximize the amount of Happy Boo we can get from Scary Boo. We found that if we add water to her salt bath, she split between going into the water and becoming Happy Boo. I found that if I mix her bath vigorously with water, I lose a significant portion of Boo to the water, about 40% just gone. However, if I mix gently or not at all with water, then I can recover almost 90% or over 90% as Happy Boo or UF4. I also wanted to see what Happy Boo looks like under a microscope. Her shape will affect the way she interacts with other materials. I found that she is composed of these tiny needles that grow from a point, like a broom with dust in it. Now we are further investigating why Happy Boo has different shapes in her. Turning Scary Boo into Happy Boo isn't magic. It's careful science, attention to detail, and respect for what's dangerous. Some monsters can become friends when chemistry lends a hand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Renee. And at this time, I'll invite the reviewers to enter their scores. Thanks. Okay, and our next slammer is Jolene Jones, and Jolene is in the Masters of Arts in English program, and the presentation is entitled The Crucifixion of Mary, Relation Between the Aesthetic Movements, Perception of the Feminine, and the Contemporary Women in Gothic Literature. So whenever you're ready to begin, Jolene, please proceed.
Hi, so today I would like to invite you to consider the last time you saw a horror movie. Have you ever stopped to consider why the final person is usually a woman who's usually gory and covered in dirt and is yet still portrayed as beautiful and sometimes even ethereal? Well, my research with the English department is with the aesthetic movement. And the aesthetic movement started around 1860 and ended around 1900. This movement was started by a man named Charles Baudelaire in France, who wrote a collection of poetry titled The Flowers of Evil. In The Flowers of Evil, he encapsulated the feminine as a form of beauty despite things like death or gore or the things that we typically try to avoid in society. So he sparked a revolution in the literature and art scene, and he inspired another really popular artist named Gabriel Dante Rossetti, who painted this lovely portrait of Lilith. Why this is important is Lilith is typically seen as a succubus. She's a demon. She's what we try to avoid in society. She's supposed to be evil. But with Rossetti, he encapsulated her clothed in white and laying on a bed of flowers. She is nothing if not beautiful. So I'd like to invite you to consider how the aesthetic movement's portrayal of the beautiful woman has equated to contemporary Gothic literature. So two examples of this are with Aleister Gray's novel Poor Things, where we are introduced to Bella Baxter, who is a woman who undergoes severe abuse by her husband. However, this leads her, unfortunately, to commit suicide. After her suicide, a doctor finds her and recreates her in his image to be this ideal woman, absolutely perfection encapsulated. And I think it's important here that we remember this was a woman who was only seen as remarkably beautiful after her death. Another contemporary concept that's pretty popular is Stephen King's Carrie. You might have seen the movie adaptations, but for the novel adaptation, Carrie is a young girl who is consistently abused by her mother, as well as socially pressured by her peers. And it's not until the end of the novel where she meets a tormented fate that she is seen as what was a truly beautiful young woman. So this research hopes to expand the interdisciplinary and English studies of how we perceive femininity and literature. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene. And at this time, I will ask the judges to please do their ratings. Thank you. Okay, and our next competitor is Jared Besman, who is in the Doctor of Philosophy Sociology program. And Jared will be presenting on Brides, Bros, and Bullets, Gendered Gun Tourism in Las Vegas. And whenever there's slideshows, there you go. Thanks.
Picture this. You are going out on the town. It is for your bachelor party. You can do anything except that your partner lets you know, hey, I'm not really comfortable with you going to the strip club in Las Vegas. No problem. You decide you're going to go to the firearm range. Essentially, what happens is you get there and they offer you a ticket to go to the local strip club along with transportation. Well, you go, and 6 months later, your partner finds out. Now, your partner being divorced wants to celebrate their time in Las Vegas as well. What will they do? Will they go to Magic Mike? Will they take a shot? No. They are actively going to shoot the wedding dress that they were initially married in. This comes from my broader research topic, which looks at gun tourism in Las Vegas. This is a very popular topic within the city. There are over a dozen locations. Specifically today, I'm going to talk about gendered experiences at these locations. So I did a content analysis of the top 5 locations on TripAdvisor and found some really interesting results. In terms of gendered experiences, all of them have gendered experiences, but there are differences. Some of these places have parity between the experiences, meaning that they're similar for the men and the women. One location has a 50 caliber experience, boom for the bride and boom for the groom, where essentially you are both shooting 50 caliber weapons before you are to be married. Another location has parity as well. It offers transportation and an entry fee once you're done with your shooting experience to go to a strip club of your choice, whether the dancers be male or female. Now, the gender differences are a big issue as well in other locations. Some of these differences that come about, you can actually get married at a firearm range in Las Vegas. It is a shotgun wedding, but does not offer a shotgun to shoot. Actually, you shoot as a male, you will shoot black weapons. As a female, you will shoot pink weapons. Notice that in this image, the just divorced is femme presenting. That is what is advertised online. There is no groom experience post-divorce. The final example I found is outside of this sort of marriage idea. I found an example of the G.I. Jane package, where essentially it is advertised to beginners and it is friendly to women. You can essentially shoot the military weapons in a reduced caliber, so it's less on the recoil. And according to them, they want to leave all the testosterone to the gentleman. So ultimately, this represents a microcosm of broader gender issues, the fact that there is one step forward and often two steps back. So when you think next time you go on a trip, is this a gendered experience?
Thank you, Jared. And at this time, judges, would you please enter the scores for Jared? Thank you. Okay, and our next slammer is Oluwa Palumi Benkol, and Palumi is actually in the Master of Science Management Information Systems program. And the presentation today will be the human side of cybersecurity, why people are the strongest and weakest link. So whenever you are ready.
Every day we hear about cyber attacks, data leaks, stolen identities, system shutdowns. But behind most of these attacks, there isn't always a skilled hacker. It's usually a person who made a very little mistake, which is what inspired my project topic today. Research shows that 90% of cyber attacks begin with human error. Someone clicks phishing email, reuses a weak password, or shares information without realizing the risk. One small action can open the door to millions of dollars in damage. So if you look at my screen, the lock represents trust, the idea that people hold the key to security, but the faint hacker behind it reminds us that someone is always waiting for the moment of human error. From my analysis of cybersecurity reports, I found that phishing causes 63% of breaches and weak passwords. And weak passwords are another 25%. So together they account for nearly 3/4 of cyber incidents. Industries like healthcare, finance, and education systems are hit with the hardest because they rely on people handling sensitive information every day. So how can we fix this? The solution isn't just stronger technology, it's about smarter people, which means organizations should invest in security awareness training and multi-factor authentication, like If those are being invested in, then phishing success rate will be reduced to more than 70%. When employees understand that the risk become the first sense, when employees understand that, then risk becomes the first sense of defense. Then that way we are no more the weakest link, but we tend to be like the strongest link of defense. So cybersecurity isn't just about firewalls and softwares, it's about the people. And if we strengthen human awareness as much as we strengthen technology, we can make our digital world safer for everyone, because cybersecurity doesn't start with machines, it starts with we as humans. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And at this time, I will ask the judges to please enter their scores. Okay, and our next presenter is Kayla Omajan, and Kayla will be presenting on the navigating cosmic paths, space radiation, and its impact on motor function. And Kayla is currently in the Doctor of Philosophy Neuroscience program. And whenever you're ready, Kayla, please proceed.
My favorite cartoon growing up was Dora the Explorer. Every episode gave me lessons that have set me up on my own pursuit of discovery. Dora taught me how the world is full of wonder when you have an open mind, and that any obstacle, including Swiper the Fox, can be overcome with determination. Like Boots, I was part of every adventure, each one always beginning with three simple things: a question, preparation, and the courage to step into the unknown. Today, we are all part of a great new adventure as NASA is finally returning humans to the moon over the next decade. And just like Dora, we're starting this journey with the three essentials. First, our question: can we establish a long-term human presence on the moon? Second, are we prepared for this? As much as we can be so far, yes, but there's still a lot that we don't know about the dangers of space, which is precisely what my lab seeks to find out. You see, on these future missions, astronauts will face multiple exposures to unavoidable space radiation. Previous studies have already established that space radiation impairs movement and coordination, but most only examine this using single exposures, which don't wholly represent the space environment. Therefore, in order to further characterize the impact of space radiation, my lab conducted an experiment that investigates multiple exposures in rats during pulling behavior. We exposed rats 2 times with different radiation combinations listed in the figure shown. With this repeated radiation approach, we provide a more representative model of the conditions that astronauts will encounter in deep space. Overall, we observe that double radiation exposure negatively affects motor function, similarly to single exposures, while also revealing differences based on the order of radiation type. As seen in the first figure, the rats exposed to helium first displayed more misses than those exposed to GCR first. And in the second figure, interestingly, those exposed to GCR first demonstrated less direct paths in their movement in order to pull the string compared to the other groups. By navigating these effects in multiple radiation exposures, we can better inform strategies to preserve motor function and protect the health of our explorers beyond Earth. These findings are especially insightful because the last time a person has stepped foot on the moon was over 50 years ago, with the longest mission lasting 3 days. Our goal for this new journey is to stay on the moon for at least 30 days, meaning more radiation and a higher chance of something going wrong. So as Dora reminds us, we're going to need that third part, courage, to drive us forward and go farther than ever before. And we're going to need a lot of it, because this journey is actually just phase 1. with the moon simply being a gateway to our ultimate destination, Mars. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kayla. And at this time, judges, would you please enter your scores? Thank you. Okay, and lastly but not least, we have our last slammer for tonight. It's going to be Charlene Gonzalez. Charlene is in the Masters of Education Higher Education program, and Charlene will be presenting Finding Sense of Belonging of Research on Southeast Asian American College Students. Whenever you're ready, Charlene, please proceed.
When I was 18 years old, I was so excited to go to college and be able to pursue my degree in nursing to become a doctor. A few months later, I found out that was not the right calling for me. I struggled to find resources and people I can rely on during my first few years, but until my third year, I began seeing one of my academic advisors. And they were the ones who helped me feel validated and understood and realize I do not need to know what to major in right now. And so they helped me to get involved on campus. And the more I got involved, the more I felt more belonged and being able to receive the resources that I need. And that led me to where I am today. And that got me thinking, how does campus engagement programs help develop sense of belonging for Southeast Asian American college students? So there are 3 literature reviews that I found that connect to my research. Number 1 is Model Minority Myth, which states that Southeast Asian American college students are overgeneralized and do not need academic validation in excelling their careers. And number 2 is ANAPISI, which stands for Asian American and Pacific Native American Islander Institution, which is one of the most impactful resources we have today to help Asian American college students to receive financial and academic resources and overcoming those barriers. And lastly, research says that students who are more involved on campus tend to have more positive experiences in being able to provide academic resources and career services. During my research, I used a qualitative interview, which helped me examine how does Southeast Asian American college students being able to find their sense of belonging and being able to how it impacted their sense of identity. And how does my research matters? This matters because it will help Southeast Asian American college students feel more belonged on campus and being able to be more involved, and being able to help faculties be aware through sponsoring them and be able to provide validation and sense of belonging. And lastly, it will be able to increase awareness for faculties and student engagement through one-on-one small cohort sizes and being able to provide more mentorship opportunities, just like of how I did when I was in my undergrad. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Charlene. And we'll give the judges a minute to enter Charlene's scores. And I'd just like to take a moment to thank you all so much for joining us for this preliminary round. Thank you to also our graduate college team, Alyssa and Shanta, who have made this session tonight possible by working behind the scenes. And now what I would like you to do is to please stay tuned. We'll announce winners live in just a few minutes. Judges, once you have finished all the scoring, would you please ensure that you press submit on the bottom of your scoring rubric form to make sure that you've entered all your scores. And remember, audience, while only the top 3 winners of this round will progress to the semifinals. You as slammers, you're all winners of a grad slam t-shirt that you can receive, and you can get yours during the grad Rebel Slam Finals reception. So remember to pick that up. The way we're structured for the preliminary rounds is that the first place winner tonight will receive $300 in scholarship, and then the second place winner tonight will receive $200 in scholarship, and the third place winner will receive $100. So what we'll do right now is just wait for the judges to enter all their scores, press submit, and then for our team to do the final tally. And I'll be right back as soon as I have the top 3 finishers for tonight. So please, I ask for your patience until we get to that point. So stay tuned, please. Thank you so much for your patience. We kept you in suspense for long enough. So, are you ready for the announcements of the winners? So here are the winners of tonight's preliminary session and who will be moving on to the semifinals. And in third place tonight, we had a tie. How exciting. Okay, third place finishers who are tied, who will be moving on. Josie Lindo and Jared Westman. Congratulations, third place finishers for this session. Okay, now for the second place finisher for this round, it was Renee Olney. Congratulations, Renee. You're second place and you get to move on. And now for the first place winner for tonight, it goes to Kayla Omengen. Congratulations, Kayla. You are the first place finisher. Congratulations actually to all of you slammers today. Thank you so much, distinguished judges. Without you, this event would not be possible. Now remember to please join us for the semifinal rounds on Thursday, November the 6th at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1:30 in the Greenspun Auditorium. The finals will be on this Friday, November the 7th at 4 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium. And we will have your Rebel Grad Slam t-shirts available at the finals reception this Friday in Greenspun lobby. We welcome you to RSVP for the final event. And I've posted the link in the chat, the RSVP link for you. And we thank you so much for your participation tonight. We hope you have a good evening. Thank you.